They're not happy with the Rams and Jeff Fisher for what they believe was a cheap hit on Teddy Bridgewater Sunday afternoon. Former Patriots defensive back Rodney Harrison is with them. He said on NBC Sunday that he thinks dirty play is typical of Fisher, who he once claims laughed at him while he was lying on the ground injured. Jeff Fisher responded Monday to Harrison saying, quote, "You're talking about a guy that had a great career and was hard to defend and was a really active defensive player. But this, coming from a guy that had 18 unnecessary roughness penalties, 7 personal fouls, 4 roughing the passer penalties, a total of 77 penalties in his career, and was voted 3 times the dirtiest player in the National Football League." Wow, he did his homework and was suspended for a helmet-to-helmet hit on Jerry Rice in 2002. We welcome Ryan Clark back to the desk in his lovely jersey. Ryan, whose side are you on here?
First of all, I'm not on anybody's side, but this is hard for me to talk about because I really, really like Rodney Harrison as a player.
Yep.
And while I was playing, I hated him as an analyst.
Oh, really?
And here's the reason. Coming into doing this job and to getting an opportunity to talk about people who are playing this game of football, putting their livelihoods and their bodies on the line every week, I said I would never forget what type of player I was. So when I think about, when I parent and my kids do something and my wife might see it as just the most awful thing ever, I'll just tell her, but babe, we used to be kids too. I remember doing something like this. And now you parent them to make them not do those things, but you have to understand it. So when you're Rodney Harrison and you're looking at this, and granted, he probably shouldn't hit him, but I had a rule: you're going to have to slide under me in order to slide. I'm going to have to miss you because I'm not going to run to you and think you're going to slide, and then you run me over, or you do like Jay Cutler, what he did to Harrison Smith in the end zone, or Robert Golden when we were playing. Jay Cutler did the same thing to him, and his response to me, I was like, Rob, why didn't you hit him? Because I thought he was going to slide. No, you got to prove to me you're going to slide. So I played for Greg Williams, and I'll admit, when Greg Williams coaches defense, he coaches it to be played in a violent manner. If a guy was on the sideline and you just pushed him out of bounds, he had an issue with that, which is why I never push people out. If you're in the field to play, I am trying to hit you. He does coach, play that way, play to the whistle, be physical. And I understand that. And Rodney Harrison may have had that situation with Jeff Fisher, which makes him very sensitive to Jeff Fisher in this point.
Yep.
But for him to say, for Rodney Harrison, just flat out, blatantly, and I don't even think he was dirty, played the game in a physical manner, but was voted many times by peers as the dirtiest player in the league. Like, he's always coming out, oh, this guy should be banned, and this guy is dirty, and you shouldn't hit this way. Come on, man, like, you can't forget who you were. You can't forget how you played. There will never be a time I'm going to come on here and there's a guy who's called for helmet-to-helmet contact on a wide receiver over the middle, and I'm going to say on TV, I think this guy is dirty. I think he meant to do that. Because I did it a ton of times, and it wasn't on purpose. It was never, this guy's going to catch this ball, and I am trying to hit him in his head. My thought is, I need to get there before he gets to me, and I need to find a way to dislodge this ball from him. And my last point on this is I believe Rodney Harrison played the game with the mindset I played the game. My thought process was, if you had the ball, at some point you were going to have to find 25 because you didn't want to get hit by him. Okay. And I feel like Rodney Harrison played the game that way. I feel like Joyner at this point is playing the game that way. Should he be fined? Should he be penalized? All of that.
Okay.
He will get those things. But to say he did it purposely, there's no way I can run up to a man and say, I know if I hit him just right in this point, he's going to have a concussion.
This
I think
does
it's
sound
foul.
like you're more on Rodney's side than on Jeff Fisher's side.
No, it doesn't. Not to me.
No?
No, it sounds to me like he's calling out Rodney. I mean, calling him out for what?
Yeah, you can't come out here and say this about people when you played the game that way.
You're defending the way he played because you played the same way.
No, yes, and that's what I'm saying. And that is why I won't get on here and talk about people being dirty. Now, Rodney Harrison did legit dirty things. Like, people, New England Patriot fans said I was dirty because I hit Wes Welker. I didn't think it was dirty. I thought it was football. So when a fan says it, it's one thing. But when you're a guy who played the game and you're going to call people playing the game dirty, now if you're on the bottom of the pile and you grab a guy's manly parts, that's dirty.
Okay.
That's playing the game wrong. If you're poking people in the eye, that's dirty. Playing football with your pads to the whistle, that's not dirty football to me. And to come out here and say that about guys, when you're talking about Jeff Fisher, you're talking about Joyner. You're talking about this young man saying the way he's playing the game dirty. You have to remember who you are. Now, if when he got all those penalties and he did all that stuff, he legitimately did it to be dirty, I take back everything I say. But I don't think he's going to come on TV and say, you know what, all these penalties I got and everything I did it trying to be dirty, and that's why I know these guys are dirty.
Stephen A.
No, you can go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, go ahead. Take your
Well,
time.
why are you handing off to
What's
me? Are you
going
just
on?
not
A lot of
ready?
deflecting
What is
with
happening?
both
I'm
you.
ready. I'm always ready.
Oh, well,
The
that's
lights, I'm never, ever not
all right.
ready when the
All right,
lights
Born
I'll
ready,
plunge on
baby.
this one.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm on Rodney's side here. If I have to pick, you might want to put this in the category of lesser of two evils here. So
Just so you know, I passed it off to you because I know your history of comments about Fisher.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't.
I wanted to
Please
give that
tell
to
me.
you. Go
that's
ahead.
fair.
That's why I always wanted to give you the floor. I want you to have as much time as you needed.
My point about Jeff Fisher is that I do think he escapes blame occasionally because he has some very strong, positive relations with a lot of the media.
Competition committee, too.
And he's on the competition committee, and he's highly respected, and I do respect the heck out of him because he's a very good football coach. But I believe that he, as you talked about Greg Williams, he coaches extremely physical football, always has, defensive football, offensive, heck, he wants to run it down your throat. And sometimes he coaches, I believe, gray area football. There are times, and again, that's quite an accusation that Rodney made on NBC on Sunday night to say that Bobby Wade went low on me, took out my knee, and I looked up and that Jeff Fisher was smiling and laughing on the sideline because I was down and out for the rest of that. That was week 16 of that year, and Rodney Harrison missed the playoffs. And by the way, that New England team ended up losing at Peyton Manning when Peyton threw a party on him, and there was no Rodney Harrison back there. Well, there was. Okay, so that hurt that Patriot team. But there was history with the St. Louis franchise. If you go back, that was the Titans. But if you go back to, remember, Rodney Harrison took out Trent Green. Do you guys go back this far, 1999? But effectively, it opened the door for Kurt Warner to take over. And Super Bowl, here they came, and they beat Jeff Fisher's Titans in the Super Bowl. I don't know. It's all interconnected. But my point is that I think Rodney has a point. You can say it's the pot calling the kettle dirty, so to speak.
Yep.
But in this case, I don't want to see Jeff Fisher protected here, and I'm glad that Rodney called him out. Now, Jeff Fisher responded in kind, and he said, yeah, right. Go ahead.
I think you two are talking about two different things. I think in your case, you're talking about Rodney Harrison's comments and whether or not he was right on the money, okay? I think in his case, he's saying, Rodney, that was you. How you going to call this guy out like that? And I think it's important to sort of dissect the two sides. First with you, I totally appreciate where you're coming from. I can't disagree with a word that you said. And what I love about your analysis, Ryan, and breaking that down is that you have highlighted something or brought to our attention something that needs to be highlighted. You are dissecting it as a football player. We called it dirty play as media members who have been taught by the league. These are the rules.
Right.
You shouldn't be doing it. If you do it, it's illegal. You know it's illegal, did it anyway, and in our eyes, it makes you dirty. In a football player's eyes, we out there on that field. This is how the game is played. Rules or no rules, those boys up there in the suites with the suits on ain't out on the field playing at that pace in the throes of that moment. These are the kind of things that happen. When I saw the play, I saw Teddy Bridgewater sliding off. And this is the only place that I challenge you on what you said. I thought it was clear. Now, again, never played football, never tried to, okay? Too slim for all that, all right? But let me be clear. When I saw Teddy Bridgewater, that's right, I ain't trying to play that, I ain't trying to do that. But Teddy, I'm a basketball player. But Teddy Bridgewater sliding, it looked apparent to me, Ryan, that while he was sliding, you could see that the guy knew he was sliding and just nudged a little extra and like targeted him on that level, which to me made it dirty.
Now, wait, he targeted his head.
Well, I'm just saying,
Okay,
exactly.
like-
That's what I'm saying.
like-
Because it was clear that Teddy had already slid, and you didn't have to hit him. But, you know, it's this penchant for hitting the quarterback. You want to make sure they feel you any chance you get. I'm not saying you meant to concuss the guy. I'm not
Right.
saying you want to knock him
I
out.
got you.
But you wanted to touch him. You want to touch him because that's what you out there as a defensive player for. That's what you're talking about. So in our eyes, we're like, well, this against the rules.
No,
and you knew that.
I
and
agree
that's
with that. Like,
so that's all.
Flag,
Right.
fine.
Right.
If I am a Minnesota Vikings,
Right.
A Minnesota
You wanna
Vikings,
fight. You wanna fight.
yeah, I want to fight. Somebody on that team got to get it. The next drive,
That's right.
all
Absolutely.
those things.
All of those things.
I get.
That's right. So let me go to your point. Rodney Harrison said what he said. I called Rodney Harrison this morning, couldn't find him because I wanted to let him know, give him a heads up what was coming. I agree with Ryan. I watched Rodney Harrison for years. One of the things I loved about Rodney
Loved
was
it.
his viciousness.
Loved it.
Rodney was vicious. If Rodney could put a hat on you any chance he got, he took it.
Okay, so you're saying you like the way he played.
And I did like the way he played, but what I'm saying
Okay.
to you is you agree with Rodney.
Okay, so if you have to pick a side, you're on Rodney's side.
Exactly.
Okay.
No. I'm on Ryan's side in terms of Rodney. How you gonna call out
Oh,
Jeff
okay. So
Fisher
What if
on
he
that?
called himself out too? Would it have
But
been
I'm just
okay?
saying-
That's
I'm
what I
just saying-
said. Like,
Yeah.
if he comes out and said, when I
Right.
did these
I did
things,
it too.
I was
Right,
trying to
right,
be
yeah.
dirty.
I mean,
Yeah.
listen. Jeff Fisher is on the competition committee. He's got all of this stuff, and it's absolutely accurate. One tripping, 215-yard
He has a great research team.
It was a- I was gonna research it this morning until I saw it.
4 roughing the passer, 18 unnecessary roughness penalties. I mean, he's looking and he's dissecting. And what Jeff Fisher is saying is, we gonna touch you. You see this defense I got? We gonna touch you now. Get over it. How you gonna go on national TV and call me out like I'm a villain? Not say that I did it, but to see that, he should be fired and he should be ejected and all of this stuff. When you did that,
Yeah.
ooh.
Give a little disclaimer about your own
Just
play.
because he did that, does that mean Jeff Fisher has never done any of that?
No.
What he's
Like,
saying is,
I believe the story, and here's why. This is why I believe the story.
Well, that's a story.
Here's why.
Right.
It's probably true. You know why? Because if somebody's coming to me every day, hey man, I'm getting bullied at school.
Yeah.
That's right.
This kid's beating me up
I'm gonna
at
tell you to
school.
punch him in his
He-
face.
And then,
Stop taking
and then the little kid who you don't think is gonna fight punches the bully. I have no sympathy for him at all. You shouldn't have been picking on that kid. I'm glad he stood up. Now I'm not promoting violence,
Right.
guys, but I'm glad he stood up. And this is what you get sometimes when you play that way.
And Skip,
At the time he was hurt, a cut block was not illegal.
We ain't debating the play was, we understand it was wrong.
It's
just
wrong.
that-
This play is
it's
wrong.
just that Rodney Harrison is like, bro, we loved you playing just like that. How you gonna sit there and say somebody need to be thrown out the game? Well,
We got to leave it there.
I
Speaking
said it was the lesser of evils.
Okay,
Like,
all right, we with you.
Speaking of sympathy, though, I had some for you after Saturday night. I'm glad
Yeah,
you're
still
rolling with the
representing.
boys. Yeah.
You go ahead and do
Ryan,
that.
Still represented.
Thank
31
you.
yards.
Thank you.
They didn't block for him.
Stay
They didn't block.
representing.
They
We
didn't block.
appreciate you, as always. Great insight.
Offensive line let him down.
Magic Johnson gave praise to Phil Jackson, saying Knicks fans should applaud Phil Jackson for getting
What?
the steal of the draft.
I didn't
Yes,
know
listen
that.
to this. Porzingis. So is it time for the Knicks to move on from Carmelo Anthony? We will discuss
What?
after the break.
Magic